Dragon Ball games have been pretty dry recently, with only Breakers, Kakarot and a metric ton of DLC for Xenoverse 2 coming out over the past 4 years. But with Sparking Zero and Daima so close that I can taste them, I can't keep the hype at bay any longer. But before that, I'm gonna play probably one of the worst Dragon Ball games I've ever encountered, and there's a reason for this which will make my experience with Sparking Zero even better in the long run. I first encountered Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 back in 2015. I found it in the retro game stall at my local market for the lofty price of 10 Great British Pounds.
No. Well...
I tried the game once, didn't like it, and I banished this thing straight to the Shadow Realm that was the back of my game shelf until now. But with Sparking Zero so close, I have a plan to make my time with the game even better. I like to call it video game whiplash. It involves playing a terrible game immediately before playing another one, which makes the second game even better by comparison. My first experience with this was in 2021 when I played the Avengers game right before The Witcher 3. It felt like going from pitch black nothingness to staring directly into the sun. I've only done it one other time since then, going from Jump Force to Persona 5 Royal, which is now my favourite game of all time. I don't think I've mentioned that before. And now I want to do the same for Sparking Zero because it's looking like it could be the best anime game of all time.
Victory is mine!
So that's the main reason for playing Ultimate Battle 22 and making this video. I'd highly recommend trying the whiplash system out if there's a widely acclaimed game that you haven't gotten around to yet. Who knows, I might do it again and play Watch Dogs before Hollow Knight. I need to get around to it before Silksong definitely comes out in the next 6 months. Ultimate Battle 22 was originally released for the PlayStation in Japan in July 1995, with a European version coming out in July 1996. Something I found very odd about the game's release is that it didn't come out in Australia or North America until March 2003, almost 7 years after its initial release. Just to emphasize the insane timing of this game's release, in North America, Budokai 2 was released for the PS2 only 9 months after Ultimate Battle 22, and the first Budokai game had already been out for 3 months. On Metacritic, the game has a critic score of 25 and a user score of 5, so this is definitely the best way to make Sparking Zero all the sweeter come October 11th, because I didn't get the fucking early access. The game sold 320,000 copies in Japan, and I can't find any information about its global sales, but it's safe to say that it probably wasn't much better considering the alternatives that were available at the time. The game opens with an animated cutscene showing all 22 characters in the game. Oh, that's the name of the game! So if you were concerned about having to play Ultimate Battle 1 through 21 before this, don't worry about it. Upon leaving the title screen, we see everything the game has to offer. It doesn't look like there's any kind of training or tutorial mode. Oh, wait, maybe it's this. Shit. It turns out that the copy I bought at the market nearly 10 years ago is fucked, so there's only one thing left to do. So after dumping the disc and booting up an emulator, I can finally experience the visual fidelity of 1996. Fuck me, this is going to be rough. The first mode the game offers is Player 1 versus the computer. It's exactly what it says on the tin. You choose a character, and the game randomly chooses a CPU character for you to fight against. We have so many characters to choose from, like Go-Trunks, Genius, and Super Goku. Upon first glance, you might think that the graphics have aged poorly and the gameplay is clunky. And you'd be right. This is not fun to control at all. It feels like there's a slight input delay between pressing a button and your character performing the corresponding action. The combo system works off a series of quarter circle and button inputs, with each character having their own unique combo list. But there's no tutorial or combo list in the game. So how am I meant to learn the combos? It turns out that the secret to fighting games is my mortal enemy, reading. You need to find them on the character pages in the game's manual, and each character has their combos taken straight from the series. You have your iconic attacks like Goku's Kamehameha, Tien's Solar Flare, and Gohan's Super Jet Vertical Hook. What do you mean you don't recognize Gohan's Super Jet Vertical Hook? That's like his whole thing in the anime. In terms of gameplay, even for 1996, it's way behind other fighting games. This was the year that X-Men vs Street Fighter and King of Fighters 96 came out. Ultimate Battle 22 doesn't even have invincibility frames when you get up after being knocked down. After winning against the computer, the game doesn't ask you if you want to continue or stop playing, it just chooses another random opponent for you to fight. The game locks you in this endless loop, and the only way out is death. Moving on from the gameplay, Ultimate Battle 22 has 5 game modes to choose from. Player 1 versus the computer and Player 1 versus Player 2 are pretty self-explanatory. Build-up mode lets you choose a character that you want to train. You fight against the other characters in the roster who each have their own levels. I'll try taking on Zarbon first. He's only level 6, so what's the worst that could happen? When you eventually realize that your problem with build-up mode was not choosing the right character, you can start winning against your opponents with your character leveling up after each win. Your character's level is then saved to your memory card so that you can continue to train them another time. I think the only things that leveling up increases are your character's health and damage output, so it's pretty basic. After training up your chosen character, you're able to fight against another player's chosen character in the build-up battle mode. Here, a second player is able to bring their own character from their copy of the game on their memory card. If you think about it, this is pretty much what Nintendo did with their Smash Bros. Amiibos nearly 20 years later. The final mode in the game is Championship mode, which puts you in a 16-person tournament against both real players and CPU opponents. But you can't change any of the tournament settings, you can't make it a single-player tournament, you can't change the number of participants, and you can't choose any of the computer opponents. You have to play a tournament with 8 player characters and 8 CPU characters. There's no negotiating this. When choosing Championship mode, the game asks you if another controller is plugged in, so you'd assume that it won't let you play the mode if you don't have 2 controllers connected. But you can say yes, and the game just trusts you even if you only have one. If you play through the tournament mode with 1 controller, it means that your opponent isn't able to move if 2 player characters are fighting at the same time. And if no player characters make it to the final and it's just 2 CPU characters, you're still forced to watch their entire match. How do I know this? Oh, because Krillin uses ultimate on me, and I straight up couldn't use mine despite using the right button combinations. That's pretty much everything the game has to offer, but if you input a sequence of buttons on the main menu, you get access to 5 secret characters. After this, you get another animated cutscene of the brand new characters, and the game's title screen becomes Ultimate Battle 27. You get Master Roshi, Kid Goku, Mr. Satan, Gogeta, and Super Saiyan 3 I mean, Mega Goku. These characters play exactly the same as everyone else, but Master Roshi and Kid Goku look like they're from a different game entirely. I know I said that the whole game is the worst thing I've looked at for the channel, but how quickly things change. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 is one of the worst games I've played in my life. Its gameplay is sluggish and it feels like you're playing Budokai 1 after taking 40 Benadryl. The game isn't nice to look at, and the amount of stuff you can do in the game is laughably shallow. The only saving grace for this game is the opening and the fact that it gives Gohan's Super Jet vertical hook the recognition it deserves. 1 out of 10. Bring me Sparking Zero.